That's right. Hello.
Hello, and welcome to the Nooner.
The Nooner. That's what we're calling it here on Contact Buzz this morning, the Nooner.
We're currently just chilling.
Yeah, we've actually been in like really deep thought and interception and like clarity, and this is brought to you by Carrot Cake.
And the ultimate favorite of mine for a while now. It's our special one, the one we use when we need spiritual connection more, when we want more clarity of thought, because it allows us to flow and speak freely, where we keep those inhibitions in our mind that won't allow us to communicate. This helps kind of knock down those barriers and allow you to do so. And that's the beauty of the plant medicine.
Yeah. Also allows you to put down your own guard so you can see through your own bullshit.
Exactly. And if you're talking it out, you may seem like a chatty Cathy. That's good, because that's something that needs to come out. You know, that's something that you're flowing with. That's something that's channeling through you. And more than likely, that's healing energy that's channeling through you. And just by speaking about things and being confident enough and comfortable enough to finally embrace and talk about it, that sets you free.
It does.
And that's the beauty of the gateway drug. No, I'm just kidding.
Just kidding. You know what it is? A gateway. It is a gateway to your consciousness.
It's a gateway to consciousness, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is by no way, shape, or form the D word. It is a beautiful plant.
The D word, all of it. It's plant medicine. Respect, man.
Yes.
Plant medicine. So we are recovering this week. We went up to our dear friend Lindsay's and was part of a surprise birthday party and was doing readings there and stuff like that. So we kind of did some benders, done some hard drinking on the first night because it was her birthday. We love our friend, and we was gonna get shit faced with her, so we did after.
Yeah, she wanted us to, and them readings were on point, man. We got some really cool interactions with a lot of cool people from all kinds of different lives or walks of life, and it's 12/12 currently, guys.
Yeah. And so, a good time with good friends.
Yes.
You know, we've mentioned our trips and stuff like that with Donnie and Lindsay, and that's our soul family there, and we love them. And it was nice getting away too, because we've just been through a lot of I guess earthquakes here of energy around the house, and
we've done a lot of clearing lately, a lot of beautiful, sweet release.
Yeah, and so coming back, we were exhausted because we're Mama and Papa here. Usually call it the geriatric ward.
Yeah, this time it's taken us about 3 days to recover.
Yeah, and one thing to bring up too is just the epiphanies from that, because I kind of went off the rails and ate more than I'm used to eating, and then the things that I was eating was more disgusting than I usually eat, and then coming back, spirits that's a big smote.
Yeah,
because your body feels like shit.
Yeah, we went through a 3-day bender of just eating trash, drinking soda, stuff that I hadn't been used to in a minute. And our bodies really pay for that kind of thing. I think both you and me were swelled really, really good.
And, we swole.
This morning I woke up and my body's detoxing from all that, because we don't have much of that around here, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I don't like to keep it at my disposal, because if it's there, I'll end up eating
it. We know that 600-pound life.
But so I noticed this morning I've gotten up and I've pissed myself to death. And it's because I had been swole. I had carried around that much fluid with me that I've been releasing today. So it's cool that you can take your body from point A to point B to know when it needs to detox. So we're detoxing that shit out of our system. And, if you can, it makes you much more health conscious to know your body in that manner. When you get used to yourself and you feel what's off and things like that. And when you're swelled, and what causes that is usually high sodium foods and carbs and junk like that, So that really puts your relationship with food at the forefront when you know how that food's affecting your body, but you continue to allow it to. And because we rely on pharmaceuticals to balance that. But so anyway, down the rabbit hole.
Story time by Dallas. I love it. The light bulb. That was way back.
Conway Twitty, ladies and gentlemen.
So for me, I've been working like through. I've talked about it. My mind, body. I feel like I've got my mind and my soul there. It's lit. I've healed a lot about myself, and I'll continue to do so. But it's not anything detrimental in my way. Right. So it's my focus is my body, and it has been for a while. And I knew that was going to be the hardest part, and I've said that a million times. But like this trip, kind of spirit was like, okay, here you go. Because not only do I'm very in tune with my body, very, very in tune with my body. It's like my vehicles. Anything that you get in tune with, you do it deeply if you're like us, and you're aware. And when you become more and more aware, you're like, I'm putting shit in my body and I feel like shit. And I know it's because I'm putting that shit in my body and I'm choosing to put that shit in my body because why?
Because it's enjoyable, because we have triggers.
Yeah.
Why? Ask yourself why, and then the answer to that will be the trigger.
Yeah.
So once you realize you have triggers that cause it, like boredom is the number one culprit. Why are you feeling bored? Is there not better ways that you can strategically fill your time without eating? It is a habit that is formed through that boredom. And we are pleasureful people. We like to have those pleasure zones erogenized or whatever the hell you want to call it. We like that instant gratification pleasure.
So sexual.
So that's what food or sex or anything like that does,
It does.
So yeah, that's how you get to know your body through all that.
Yeah. And just working on the healing the body. You don't realize how much it's important because it is a vessel. And our vessel, and when you are on this path, we have to have such a light body. And I mean that in the way of not weight, but clean, clear, cleansed, pure.
The big thing.
Just like your soul, you have to work on your body. And that's not necessarily what you look like. That's not what you look like at all. It's how your vessel is prepared for that high energy.
Yeah.
So if you're changing your life and you're this far, and if I'm talking to you and it sounds like it's just bullshit, whichever, you're going to resonate with it or not, but you're going to know spirit. If you've been on yo-yo diets, you're on a yo-yo diet because spirit's always pulled at you, and you've always tried to connect with yourself, but you drop off at any inconvenience. I did it, and I still do it. So I'm like, that's something that I've deeply been in interception with myself with, and knowing everything, like knowing that about yourself. But, you get in tune with everything. Your vessel, you have to be in tune with your vessel. Why not? Why are we not taught to be in tune with our vessel from the start? Our mind, our soul, we are disconnected from the three. So that's what Spirit's calling for right now, is a rebalance. And that's a rebalance on all aspects. Think of it bigger than just yourself, but it starts with yourself, because when you balance yourself, you help balance others. Yeah. And the food is important, because I know where we're from, it's been so backwards and ignorant, and nobody's educated on that, about how food is important. And then when they hear it, it rubs them the wrong way, because they're like, oh, okay, I ain't gonna have my meat and my lard. And, it's just really backwards in its defense. But education's important. And that's why we're here as way showers, as teachers, as healers, is to fucking educate people. Yeah. And it's by knowing what works on yourself. Yeah. By being your authentic self, you let that information and knowledge flow through you. But this is exactly why we look at higher beings that's been reincarnated in this earth. Like, for instance, Gandhi, any kind of physical vessel, then people are very in tune with their bodies and food and what food does for them, and healing themselves with food. So I think that's where the relationship needs to come back, is the healing with the food and knowing how it affects you. Yeah.
And speaking of how it affects you, is don't forget about, in this process, when you are becoming super spiritual, you're working to better yourself in the evolution of all of this. So, hold on. So body appreciation is very important in this. So when you are starting your journey, if you're just finding yourself getting into more healthy foods and considering this or that, please, look at your body, look at it, face it, deal with it in its imperfections and all that you hate about it. Stare at it and love it for what it is, because you'll never see it that way again on this path. Because one thing I've saw and Holly saw is your body transforms through all this. And you may have your off moments, but there's an understanding that stays after it clicks and you get it. So then you get to watch your body in the process, and you start to see these beautiful changes in yourself, and you're transforming yourself into the version that you see that you want the world to see, and that is a game changer. So pay attention to your bodies and all this, guys.
Develop a relationship with your mind, body, and soul.
Exactly.
And you will not regret it. That's where the secret is. The secret is within all of us.
It's the Trinity, guys. It's divinity. It's that spark in us that makes us who we are.
Exactly. The conversation we got into, I think, was that, I don't know, this week sometime. It was about our vitality. That might have been yesterday.
Yeah, vitality's been big right now.
Yeah, and you know what is so eye-opening about it? I just had this epiphany, is like we have our New Year's resolutions coming up. All right, so that's an energy. That's a universal energy that everybody feels, and it motivates everybody.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Yeah. So we're sliding into that.
But in a higher vibrational way.
Yeah. We're understanding ourselves and our bodies and our wants versus needs and all that.
Exactly.
Shit, and we're becoming more in control of ourselves in that aspect, and it shows. Right. I think anybody could go back and look at a picture of me in December of 2021. Bloaty, sick looking, 360 pound big, like my belly was getting really big. I knew at that point I had to stop the insanity.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, I'm down to just under 300, probably right at the 300.
Yeah, which is good for you.
I've maintained 300 for a good while.
Yeah.
And that tells me too, that if you're consistent, your body and your mind changes and they work together.
Yeah,
so your mind don't constantly sit around and think, oh, I got that brownie mix in there in the pantry. Oh, God, there's some cheese that I could cut up and eat. Especially the partakers of the herb.
Yeah.
You really have to become more health
self-disciplined.
Or you'd be back right where you started, because you're using it as a numbing technique or mechanism. Much the same as
it's temporarily fulfilling.
Yes, it's that instant erogenous zone.
Yeah, but after you're like, oh man.
Yeah. 12:22, by the way. We're hitting them, man. These synchronicities are absolutely off the chain right now.
They are.
If you're experiencing mad synchronicities, welcome.
Yeah.
You've made it up here. And that's spirit knocking on your door, and you better pay good attention, because do what you're feeling called to do. That's what I'll say. Do what your little inner feeling is telling you to do.
Absolutely.
And that will keep you up in the high vibes.
It's a time of, and you know what's cool? We've been having epiphanies like crazy, is because we've been having all these different synchronicities, and we've had the golden age, the golden hour, the golden, like all kinds of golden things coming up. And then we go look it up, because, this is what we do, is like, well, is anybody else talking about this? Because we're not alone, we're connected. And I'll be damned if one of the first things I don't find is an article that's written just like we wrote it on the things that's been happening over the last 4 years.
Like when we used to blog.
Yeah. So I was like, holy shit. And they're talking about the golden hour, the golden age. I don't know. I'm not a researcher.
Same.
I only go in to research something when I want to know the meaning, or another meaning, or a possible meaning.
That's synchronicity.
Yeah.
That's what Spirit's saying. Hey, dumbass.
Exactly. Like,
this is what you need to know about it.
Yeah.
So once you know.
Because
if you keep having the golden come around, or the 77 number.
Yeah, don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. Research it, because Spirit's nudging you. Yeah. When you're doing that research is when you'll have your epiphany.
Yes, you'll know.
It'll tell you something. It'll be right there.
Yeah, and a hit.
Like it's saying, this is God talking. Yeah. Here's what you need to know. That's how it works, man, if you pay attention.
Yeah, and you trust your compass.
We talk synchronicities all day long, but you got to understand the importance of those synchronicities.
Yeah, and because I know people put articles out there on what 111 and 222. You got to look past that.
Yes,
look past that. The angel numbers look past it.
Yeah, you'll know what speaks to you when you need it. and it'll make such sense to you, and you'll be like, God, how can I be so stupid?
Yeah, mine's been 333 for months now, and it's getting crazier because my brother's birthday is today, and he just turned 33. He's fucking 33. I was like, oh God, man, like that's crazy. I just had that epiphany yesterday. So, and then Dallas has even talked about when Jesus
Jesus was 33.
Jesus was 33. There's a lot of synchronicities. We've had people near us having the 144,000 synchronicity, which goes back biblically. We don't know what's happening in the world.
Princess had a vision of the ending of all things.
Yeah, the revelation or whatever.
So not to freak anybody out, but just the only thing that you need to be concerned with right now is yourself and your vibe.
Yeah.
Get that vibe high so you get up out of that bullshit. Yeah. And you don't have to worry about it. It's what people don't know.
Yeah. And what's happening right now is there's a lot of falling of false.
Yeah. The facades are coming down, man. Yeah. People are seeing things. It's
shocking the shit out of people.
People like us, we're talking our truths, and people are hearing it for the first time, and they're like, holy shit.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Because when you... Listen, there's a bunch of us. There's a bunch of us here, and we just talking about that earlier. We got the Hierophants, we got the seers, we've got the healers, we've got the shaman. All potato, whatever. Yeah. But anyway, it's the whole. People are rising up to that, and I forgot what I was talking about. God damn
it! Everybody has their place.
Shit, everybody has their place. Everybody has something within them that's very great and is a part of this.
Yes.
And we're not all the same. That's the beautiful part about it, is we're walking beside each other as warriors. We are joining together. It doesn't matter what path you're coming from. We're all coming together right now.
Listen, we are the leaders in all this, guys. People like us, we're the ones that are going to make it. We're the ones that are going to show people the way. And it is a terrible but beautiful burden all at the same time.
Yeah.
But this is a calling that we signed up before we even entered this vessel. We knew this was coming. And that's why we're here. We're the warriors, man, that are leading the charge to bridge that gap between the new reality and the old, or the 5D or versus the 4D. Whatever you want to call the transition, new world, old world. What is happening there is there's a division of the vibrational fields. So the higher vibe is vibing up out of reach of the lower vibe, and vice versa. The lower vibe keeps going lower and lower. So we allow ourselves to be pulled down into that abyss of that shit, or we choose to rise above. And how do we choose to rise above? As we start shedding light to the darkness that we hold inside of us. We start acknowledging the hard things that we don't want to acknowledge about ourselves. Mm-hmm. We truly desire and want to make a difference in our own life. And in doing so, you show that by you being brave enough to do that it's possible for somebody else to do that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Being your authentic self. And it's hard. It's hard for people in this world because we've been taught who to be, what to be, how to be. And the more that you let go, the more that you heal, the more layers that fall, and the deeper you go within in that healing, because it goes deeper than just us. Yes. It's our conditioning, it's our programming, and that programming is deep, and it's just not about your family trauma. Once you get past that healing of family trauma, baby, it goes way deeper than that. It does
go deep.
And you start your whole existence. Now, when I first got on this journey, because we're speaking from a very advanced level. But when I first got on this journey, I had to forget who I was. And I had to figure out who I was. And I remember that time because I talked about it a lot back then. But I had to figure out who Holly was. Everything that I knew was what, it's like you wake up and it's like, there was magic here all along, and you were taught your whole life that there wasn't, and it just existed in books and movies. Yeah. But that's not true, and it may not be the same concept of how they fantasized it, but in our minds it is, and in our minds is other worlds, and that's the important part. Going within yourself.
You're just missing out on all this magic is what you're doing, is what you don't know, and that's
they take our imagination away.
We had of growing up here in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
They do take your imagination away, but there's such beautiful scenery and amazing awesomeness around here that we always keep that sense of wonder here. And part of that mountain magic, whatever.
Yeah, even what's fucked up about it is like the people here can't see it.
I know.
I mean, they're just
so
guilty. But, you know, when you're awake, as a kid, I would walk down to the bus stop.
Yeah.
And I would sing to the woods. And I would just pretend I was in a little musical with myself.
And
you know? And I was. And I was. Because I was the oldest, and my brother's 6 years younger. And so I was alone there for a long time with myself. So I was very imaginative. Yeah. 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 But, yeah. I think that's the beautiful part about all this is people are clinging on to the negative that's happening in the world, and we're not 100% aware of what's happening. And honestly, I could give a shit less.
Right.
My light, our light, you know, all the
it's
people
needed elsewhere.
It is, and it's bigger than just that. Yeah. And you got to stop giving into the fear of that because you can't control any of that. It is set up to make you feel a certain way, and you put into that energy, that negative, lower vibrational energy of guilt, of you're trying to be compassionate, but it's coming off as hurt because you want to save people. Yeah. You can't do it all you can do is save yourself, and you can keep that light, and you can be your authentic self and let that big light shine, because we're all way showers, we're all lighthouses.
We have a responsibility to do that, guys.
Absolutely.
That's how we change the world.
Absolutely. It's not just about us.
If you can't see that yet, then you will.
You will.
But I feel like if you listen this deep with us, then you know and get it.
Yeah.
And that's how you change the fucking world, man.
Absolutely. Being authentically you, stepping into your highest timeline and power of who you are, your possibility. We all have the possibility of being a divine being within this lifetime, you know, and that's beautiful, and it's something that this big shift is about. It's a shift in consciousness altogether. It's not just us healing, it's the world healing. Exactly. You know, so think about it. Take yourself out of the equation and think of us as a whole. And if you think you're going through some shit, well, guess what? We're all going through some shit. We just ain't talking about it. People ain't talking about it with each other. So when you start talking about it, you be your authentic self and say, hey, I'm not this perfect mold. I have a shitty fucking marriage. And I won't let everybody know. You know, everybody already knew it. Surprise. You know, sorry. It's getting real with yourself. Yeah. It is letting go of what other people will think about you if you're not a cookie cutter person, if you're not the fucking Joneses. Fuck the Joneses. You know, fuck the Joneses. Be
the Jones.
Yeah, just be you.
Be the motherfucker that sets the way for everybody else.
Yeah, let your light shine, man.
Yeah, because just by being 100% authentic, true to who you are, I guarantee you're going to inspire somebody else that's watching in the wings. Mm-hmm. And then they may never tell you how you inspired them. However, you do. Yeah. So just know that. Yeah. Know? And act like that. That's what I call integrity, is when you act the same way 100% of the time. Yeah. And show your 100% ugly, authentic self. If it's ugly or if it's beautiful or what the hell ever. Right. Just be you are. Then your character never comes into question. Your integrity never comes into question, because you show people that. Yeah. And you do that through respect and energy exchange. And when you become an energy worker, guys, it gets deep. Energy does. Mm-hmm. Because everything is energy.
It is, yeah.
Holly had a good epiphany the other day. I think we talked about it. Did we on the last contact?
I don't think so. I don't think so. About energy. So we was sitting here, and God, this is what I do. It's like expressing it is nice. Being able to express it, that's something. Anyway, we was sitting here, and that's how it just flows in. You sit with spirit, you go deep within yourself, and you connect, and you have this knowledge that you access, and you pull it together and put the puzzle pieces together, and oh fuck, well we got all the different paths to God, right? Or its source, or whatever you want to call it. And if you think about it, we're all energy. Everything's energy. And that source is our source for energy. So, by all belief systems, we all go back to source. So that means that, energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. So that means that it's transmuted. So the energy that we have from source is the energy that is among us, and it is unbalanced. But key being is that it's all energy. Everything is energy. It can be manipulated Absolutely, it can be transmuted. So keep that in mind. When people get the power, if they have the mindset of power hungry, these are the people that cling on to power. And power, that means that is where lower vibrational vibrations. So they cling on to that, which creates a negative out of balance. And them. So in them, it creates it in other people because you have power. Come on, we all know these people. Yeah. We know, very shark-like people, people who will cut your throat and like stab you in the back. Them are the people who are very unhealed. So there's an imbalance in them. That means that's why we have a whole energy imbalance is because of because nobody knew about healing. Nobody, we were all controlled. We were all... but it's all energy. It's transmutation. It's the alchemist. It's the shaman, whatever you want to call it. But, being the creator of your own universe, because at the end of all of it, it's energy.
Exactly. And that's the only way that my mind can see it. Yeah. And the answer to what happens when we die, who knows, but it's quite obvious that this life force, that this very essence, this vitality that is in us, passes to some other form in that moment that we die. Now, I feel like I know what happens, but how crazy of a force, a life force, how crazy powerful is that in itself?
It is.
That drives us through 70 or 80, 90, 100 years. Before it vacates and goes elsewhere. Yeah. And that's our soul, that's our consciousness, that's our mind that we set free.
Yeah, and also in that sense, it's as a whole, we are God. Yeah. That's why we say you go within to find God, because God is within you. You are God. God is energy. Source is energy. Mm-hmm. We are all God. Yeah. And, going back to the reincarnations, the lessons, if you look at it and really stand back and look at it, we are in a big ass ant farm, and it's like we're all the same, but we're all going through phases and lessons and balancing. And what happens after that, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I do have faith in knowing that my purpose here, I'm aware of, and I'm aware of, the energy, the vastness, I don't know, it's amazing. The deeper you get, the deeper it gets.
There's a lot to consider, and I have my own thoughts and opinions about it. But I always love to listen and hear about other people's ways of thinking, because when people get it, and when you're hearing a story that resonates, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, because they had an experience.
So it's very, very important to let your ego aside and listen to other people's stories as well. Mm-hmm. That way you can, they may offer something for you, and you're not so close-minded about it.
Exactly.
So
that's what I've always
that's how I've always been.
Me too. I've always listened. I've always been hungry for knowledge of that kind. But
like a little sponge.
I know.
Take it all in.
I know. So me and Dallas has started our rhythm of shows, doing TikTok lives, social media, things like that. Really pushing to keep a constant connection with that, because as you know, talked about this, is it's really key in self-mastery to be self-disciplined.
And other people need what we have. They need to hear the words that we can give and things like that.
Well, I think in our, we're not meant to sit here.
Yeah,
we're not meant to sit here and be a part of the Sims and the programming. No. That's not why we're here.
No.
And we know that. And so it's man, it's
wild.
It is wild. It is wild. But yeah, I guess we will let everyone ride and fly and
go out there and be your goddamn most authentic versions of yourself, man. Let your little weird light shine, because that's important, and that's your duty and obligation to do so. Don't hold yourself back. Don't take yourself too seriously. Mm-hmm. Go out there and enjoy the shit out of every day, and just be you. And let go of all that you hold resentment toward, because it don't do you a damn bit of good. You're holding yourself back.
Yep,
let go.
All right, guys. We will catch you on the flip side in the chat house. Peace out.
Flip side the Great Hall. Join me in the Great Hall.
Bye. Bye.